In the dim corridors of history, we often stumble upon fragments of voices from the past, whispering tales of their lives, loves, and struggles. Today, we have a piece of ancient Greek text that appears to be part of a personal letter, perhaps a missive addressing matters of family and affection. Though the text is fragmentary, it offers a glimpse into the intimate relationships and societal norms of its time. Let's delve into the words we can decipher. The text opens with Heio es la aratis e megaloprepias, which hints at a tone of formality or respect, possibly conveying admiration for the recipient's grandeur or status. We also see words like kiran, which translates to lady or mistress, suggesting a conversation directed towards a woman of some standing. The fragment continues with feelings of el kirian, expressing concern or distress, likely about the well-being of the lady mentioned. The mention of ginaik translates to your wife, which indicates that this letter concerns familial ties. The phrase tones elon emon refers to my son Cylon, showing that the sender is discussing his child, perhaps in relation to the recipient's family. As we piece these elements together, it's clear that this letter might have addressed a challenge or concern regarding family matters, particularly affecting the women and children involved. Historically, this fragment likely belongs to a period in ancient Greece, when personal correspondence was a crucial part of daily life, especially among the elite. Letters were not merely practical. They were a medium for expressing emotions, managing relationships, and maintaining social networks. The emotional weight carried in this letter reflects the deep familial connections that were paramount in Greek society. This text reveals much about everyday life during ancient times. Family was central, and the roles of men and women were distinctly defined, with the letter illustrating a man addressing a woman of significance in his life. It also showcases the importance of children, as the mention of Cylon signifies pride and concern for the next generation. The sender's emotional tone suggests a bond that transcends mere duty, hinting at love and care within their social fabric. When we compare these practices to our modern ways of communicating, we can see both similarities and differences. Today, we often express our feelings through texts and emails. Yet the depth of sentiment conveyed in handwritten letters, like this one, often feels more personal and intimate. Just as ancient Greeks penned their thoughts and worries to family members, we too reach out to loved ones in times of need, seeking connection and support. In reflecting on this fragment, we not only gain insight into the personal lives of those who walked the earth centuries ago, but also recognize the timeless nature of human emotion and connection. Despite the passage of time, our needs for love, support, and familial bonds remain ever present, echoing through the ages in both silence and written word. In the realm of ancient Greek history, even the smallest fragments of text can unveil fascinating insights into everyday life and governance. Today, we encounter a fragmentary piece of writing that offers a glimpse into the past, though its exact nature remains elusive. This text, with its scattered letters and symbols, likely originated from a letter, a decree, or perhaps even a receipt, reflecting the practical aspects of life in ancient Greece. As we examine the preserved letters, we notice the repetition of certain characters, particularly the delta, D, and the stigma, ST. Although incomplete, this pattern suggests a structured document, possibly listing items or transactions. The presence of numerals, like the stigma, which often represented the number 6, might indicate a record of quantities or an account of resources. While the complete context of this document is lost to time, We can speculate that it may have been a record of goods exchanged or a formal communication regarding civic duties. Such texts were crucial in a society where trade and record-keeping were essential for economic stability and civic organization. Historically, this fragment belongs to a period where literacy was growing among the populace, especially in urban centers like Athens. The ability to read and write was becoming increasingly important, not just for the elite, but also for merchants and local officials. This development marked a shift in societal structure, where communication became vital for trade and governance. Everyday life in ancient Greece was deeply intertwined with these written records. They facilitated transactions in bustling markets, documented land ownership, and ensured the smooth operation of civic duties. In many ways, this mirrors today's practices, where receipts and emails serve as records of our daily transactions and communications. Interestingly, the fragment's layout, its spacing and use of letters, echoes modern forms of documentation, where clarity and organization are critical. Just as we rely on structured formats to convey information, the ancients employed their own systems to ensure that messages were clearly understood. In conclusion, while this fragment may seem incomplete and cryptic, it serves as a bridge to understanding the nuances of ancient Greek society. It invites us to reflect on the significance of written communication in shaping human interaction, whether in the past or in our modern world. Each letter, each mark, carries a story, one that connects us to the everyday lives of those who lived thousands of years ago. What we have here is a fragmentary piece of ancient Greek text that appears to be a financial document, perhaps a receipt or a record of a transaction. The text includes several recognizable Greek words and phrases, which provide us with insights into its purpose and the broader context of ancient life. The opening words, diageographiki, diakographica, suggest that this document has been officially recorded or inscribed. This indicates the importance of maintaining accurate records in ancient times, particularly for financial transactions. Following that, we see Zemin Epiotos, which likely refers to a specific month, perhaps the first month of the year, in the context of a civic calendar. The mention of etus indicates that the document dates back to a particular year, specifically referring to the time of Tiberius Sevastu, or Tiberius Caesar, who ruled from AD 14 to 37. This situates our text within the Roman Empire's influence over Greece, showcasing the blend of local and imperial governance. Next, we encounter the term drachmas, which refers to drachmas, a common currency used in ancient Greece. The notation of deca and Decoded drachmae of Arsder indicates a specific financial transaction involving 10 drachmas, possibly in relation to a tax or payment. This gives us a glimpse into the economic activities of the time, highlighting the significance of currency and record-keeping in daily life. The historical context of this fragment is crucial. The 1st century AD was a period of significant cultural and political changes in Greece under Roman rule. Financial transactions were becoming more formalized, and the use of written records was essential for trade, taxation, and legal matters. This reflects a society that was increasingly interconnected and reliant on documentation for business and governance. From this text, we learn that everyday life in ancient Greece involved financial dealings that required careful record-keeping, just as we do today. In modern times, we still rely heavily on receipts and official records to document transactions and ensure accountability. The way people managed their finances centuries ago echoes our current practices, showing that while technologies have evolved, The fundamental need for organization and clarity in financial matters remains constant. In summary, this fragment of text not only serves as a glimpse into the past of ancient Greece, but also connects us to the enduring practices of financial management that continue to shape our lives today. It reminds us that despite the passage of time, the basic principles of commerce and governance have a long and continuous history. This fragment of ancient Greek text appears to be part of a financial or administrative document, potentially a receipt or a record of transactions. It mentions several names, indicating that it likely involves multiple individuals or parties in a commercial context. The presence of terms such as drachmas, and references to monetary values suggest that it deals with financial dealings or distributions of wealth. When we look closely at the words, we can see names such as loginos, petronios, and vasianos, which might represent the individuals involved in the transaction or perhaps officials overseeing the distribution of funds. The mention of arg-irikon suggests that this document pertains to silver, perhaps indicating that the transactions involved silver currency, a vital aspect of economic life in ancient Greece. This fragment also speaks to the distribution of funds over a specific period, referencing an etus, or year. The term merismon indicates a division or apportionment, likely of silver drachmas. The mention of triovolon refers to a specific type of coin, which offers insight into the economic practices of the time. Historically, this text emerges from a period when commerce was a bustling aspect of daily life in ancient Greece. The economy was largely based on trade, and monetary transactions were essential for the functioning of society. The use of coins like the drachma facilitated trade and helped to standardize value in the marketplace, which was crucial for both local and inter-city commerce. From this fragment, we can infer a lot about everyday life in ancient Greece. Financial transactions were formalized and documented, reflecting a society that valued accountability and record-keeping. This mirrors modern practices where receipts and financial statements are vital for maintaining transparency in financial dealings. Interestingly, the act of documenting transactions has persisted through the ages, evolving into our contemporary practices of bookkeeping and accounting. Just as these ancient Greeks relied on written records to manage their finances, we too depend on documentation to navigate our financial landscapes. In conclusion, while this fragment is incomplete, it offers a fascinating glimpse into the economic life of ancient Greece. It reminds us that the principles of trade, accountability, and financial management have deep historical roots, influencing how we conduct our transactions even today. What we have here is a fragment of an ancient Greek document, likely a financial record or a receipt. This text is incomplete, but through the preserved words and phrases, we can glean valuable insights into the economic practices of the time and the way people recorded transactions. The text begins with the phrase, diagegra phen p up laographias, which suggests it was a documented financial entry, possibly detailing a transaction or a debt owed. The term laographias can be interpreted as public record or record of the people, indicating that this document was likely meant to be official and accessible in some capacity. Moving further into the text, we encounter memnonion ietus drachmas, which translates to of the year, a sum of drachmas. Orkau, this suggests a specific financial amount recorded for a particular year, pointing to the importance of keeping track of debts and payments in the ancient world. The drachma was the standard currency in ancient Greece, reflecting both economic stability and the complexity of trade during this period. The phrase ist etus ironos seems to refer to a specific year, although the exact year is obscured by the fragmentary nature of the text. This highlights how record-keeping was crucial for financial transactions, much like how we maintain receipts and invoices today to track our expenditures. Next, we see ni di homo ios, which is difficult to translate precisely due to its fragmentary state, but it might suggest an agreement or acknowledgement of debt. The use of such phrases indicates that contracts or agreements were a common practice, ensuring that both parties understood their obligations, much like modern contracts that we sign today. The document also refers to hi ak eap ho mariku drachmas rii miovelion, which could be interpreted as relating to a payment or tax owed in a specific context, possibly for land or agricultural purposes, which was a primary source of wealth in ancient Greece. The mention of drachmas rai miovelion suggests a fractional amount, emphasizing the meticulous nature of ancient Greek accounting practices. The conclusion of this fragment, kathari drachma vibav pedovolon I miovelion, again refers to clear or pure drachmas, possibly indicating the quality or denomination of the currency being used, which underscores the importance of currency in everyday transactions. This fragment gives us a glimpse into everyday life in ancient Greece, illustrating that financial transactions were an integral part of society. Just as today we rely on detailed records to manage our finances, the ancient Greeks had their own systems in place to ensure transparency and accountability in their dealings. In historical context, this text likely comes from a period when trade was thriving, and the economy was increasingly complex, reflecting the rise of city-states and the importance of trade networks. It suggests a society that valued order and record-keeping, similar to our modern reliance on technology and documentation to facilitate commerce. In many ways, the practices of ancient Greeks regarding financial records resonate with our contemporary habits. Just as they documented their transactions meticulously, we too rely on financial statements, digital records, and contracts to ensure clarity in our economic interactions. This connection across millennia reminds us that while the tools and currencies may change, the fundamental human practices of trade and accountability remain remarkably consistent. In our journey through the echoes of ancient Greece, we stumble upon a fragmentary piece of text that offers a tantalizing glimpse into the bureaucratic life of the time. This fragment appears to be part of an official document, perhaps a letter or decree related to military matters, indicated by the term strategia, which translates to generalship or military command. The text begins with the Greek word pen, which is likely a truncated form of pende, meaning 5. This could imply a reference to a quantity, possibly the number of years, men, or military units involved. But without further context, we can only speculate. The phrase tuetus translates to of the year, indicating that the document is dated, which was a common practice in ancient administrative texts. However, the year itself is not fully discernible in this fragment, as we see only a fragmentary os, which might hint at a number or a specific year in the Athenian calendar. Analyzing what is preserved, we might imagine that this document was part of a military report or a record of expenditures related to a campaign. During the classical period of Greece, especially in the 5th century BCE, military organization was crucial, not only for the defense of city-states, but also for their expansion and influence. The role of generals, or strategoi, was vital, as these leaders were not only military commanders, but also political figures who could sway public opinion and policy. The historical context of this fragment suggests we are witnessing a moment in the complex interplay of military and civic life in ancient Greece. This was a time when city-states like Athens were expanding their empires, often engaging in warfare with rivals like Sparta or Persia. The meticulous record-keeping reflected in this text illustrates the importance of maintaining order and accountability in public affairs, a practice that resonates with our modern emphasis on transparency in governance. Everyday life in ancient Greece was deeply intertwined with these military activities. Citizens were expected to contribute to their city-state's defense, whether through service as hoplites, providing resources, or participating in the democratic processes that determined wartime policies. This engagement in civic duty is reminiscent of modern practices where citizens often rally to support their country during times of need, whether through military service, volunteering, or other forms of civic engagement. Moreover, the bureaucratic nature of this text could draw a parallel to our own systems of governance today, where documentation and formal communications are essential for maintaining order and accountability in society. Just as we rely on records to track budgets, plans, and actions, the ancients understood the necessity of keeping detailed accounts, especially in the context of military expenditures and strategies. In closing, even with its fragmentary nature, this ancient Greek text serves as a powerful reminder of the complexities of life in a city-state, the significance of military leadership, and the enduring practices of civic responsibility. Through this lens, we can appreciate not just the historical weight of the words, but also their relevance to our present-day experiences, bridging a connection across millennia. In the shadows of history, we often stumble upon fragments that whisper stories from the past. Today, we have a tantalizing piece of ancient Greek text that, while incomplete, opens a window into the everyday life and societal norms of that era. This fragment appears to represent a letter or perhaps a decree, as it contains elements that suggest communication between individuals or officials. Let's delve into the recognizable words and phrases. The term kyr, suggests a respectful address, akin to sir or lord, indicating that the writer held the recipient in high regard. The name Stephan, often translates to Stephen, a common name in the ancient world, which might hint at the identity of the recipient. The repeated use of vestiges, though not Greek, implies a sense of remnants or traces. Perhaps the author is alluding to something lost or lingering memory, although the context remains unclear due to the fragmentary nature of the text. What might this letter or decree have been about? Given the respectful tone and the mention of a name, we can speculate that it involved a personal matter, possibly concerning a request or a discussion of responsibilities. The absence of complete sentences leaves us with more questions than answers. Yet we can infer that relationships, whether personal, political, or social, were significant to the people of this time. This fragment hails from a period when Greek city-states were thriving, particularly around the 5th to 4th centuries BCE, a time known for its cultural advancements and the flourishing of democracy in places like Athens. The presence of written communication indicates the importance of literacy and record-keeping in their society. Letters such as this one facilitated not just personal connections, but also business transactions and political discussions, showing us that the art of writing was already deeply embedded in their daily lives. Everyday life in ancient Greece was rich with social interactions, filled with gatherings, debates in the agora, and exchanges of letters like this one. Just as we might send an email or a text today to maintain relationships or conduct affairs, these ancient correspondences served a similar purpose. They highlight the timeless human need to connect, convey respect, and share news or requests. In comparing this to modern practices, we can see that while our mediums have evolved, moving from parchment and ink to digital screens, the essence of communication remains unchanged. We still use titles to show respect, and names hold significant weight in our interactions. This fragment serves as a reminder that, despite the centuries that separate us, the core of human connection through written words has remained constant. As we reflect on this ancient text, we recognize that even in its incomplete state, it offers us glimpses into a world that, while distant, shares many of our own values and practices today. Each fragment we uncover is more than just a remnant of the past. It is a thread in the tapestry of human experience, weaving together stories of respect, relationship, and the enduring power of communication. In the quiet remnants of ancient history, we stumble upon fragments that whisper tales of daily life, governance, and the human experience. One such fragment, written in the elegant script of ancient Greek, offers us a glimpse into a moment long past. Though incomplete, this text appears to be part of a letter or decree, perhaps addressing an individual or a group regarding a matter of civic importance. The surviving words hint at a structured society, with references that suggest an enumeration of items or events, perhaps transactions, commemorations, or administrative records. The fragment begins with trion, which translates to of three, likely indicating a count of some kind, followed by tu epikail estatu, meaning of the most illustrious or of great honor. This suggests that the text may have been directed towards or issued by someone of significant status or prestige. The next portion, ar atustat, could imply a connection to a state or city, further emphasizing the formal nature of this missive. The numerical reference to decaocto, meaning 18, indicates a specific quantity or perhaps a date, an important marker in the context of the discussion at hand. The fragment concludes with come ti angeuo, which might translate as to a certain person, suggesting that this letter was meant for an individual, possibly a citizen or official named Io. What might this text have fully conveyed? Given the context, it is plausible that it dealt with civic duties, tax obligations, or even the distribution of resources within a community, common themes in the administration of ancient city-states. Such texts were essential for maintaining order and ensuring that the needs of the populace were addressed. This fragment hails from a time when city-states like Athens and Sparta were the heart of Greek civilization, approximately between the 5th and 4th centuries BCE. It was a period marked by democracy, philosophy, and the arts, but also by the practicalities of governance and everyday life. The existence of such documents indicates a well-organized society, where record-keeping was crucial for civic engagement and administration. Everyday life in ancient Greece was intertwined with these administrative practices. Citizens were often required to participate in civic duties, and letters like this one would have been an essential part of daily affairs. Reminders of responsibilities, invitations to gatherings, or notifications of communal decisions. It's fascinating to compare this with modern practices. Today, we rely on emails, notifications, and formal letters to communicate important information, much like the ancients did with their scrolls and tablets. In essence, even this fragmentary text reveals the intricacies of life in ancient Greece, offering us a window into the past where every word mattered and civic life was a shared responsibility. As we decipher these ancient echoes, we are reminded of the continuity of human experience, our need to connect, to organize, and to communicate across the ages. In our exploration of the ancient world, we often come across fragments of texts that offer us a glimpse into the daily lives and transactions of people long ago. Today, we have a fragmentary text that appears to be a record of some kind, possibly related to agricultural transactions or accounting. The text features terms that suggest it may involve the measurement or distribution of grain or agricultural goods. Words like agro, which could refer to field or land, and sibarii, likely relating to food or grain, hint at a focus on agriculture essential for sustenance in ancient times. The mention of numerous, meaning number, implies a record-keeping aspect, perhaps related to the quantity of goods being tracked or exchanged. Though the text is fragmented, we can piece together a narrative about its purpose. It seems to involve measurements of grain, with references to units such as sextans and uncia, which were used in the Roman world to denote fractions. This suggests the possibility of a receipt or an inventory list, detailing the amounts of grain distributed or sold. During this period, which could be closely associated with the Roman Empire's agricultural practices, records like this were vital for trade and commerce. They ensured that landowners, merchants, and even the state could keep track of food supplies, which were essential not only for daily sustenance, but also for economic stability. From this fragment, we glean insights into everyday life in ancient times, where agriculture formed the backbone of society. The meticulous record-keeping reflects a culture that valued organization and accountability, much like our modern practices in commerce and inventory management. Today, we often rely on digital systems to track goods, but the essence of these ancient records shows that the need for clarity and precision in trade has always been a fundamental human concern. This fragment also tells us something about the social structure of the time. The fact that such records were created and maintained suggests a level of literacy and administration that was necessary for managing larger estates and trade. This administration was crucial in a time when agriculture was not just a way of life, but also a significant aspect of the economy. Ultimately, while this text is incomplete, it opens a window into the past, allowing us to reflect on how ancient practices have shaped our modern systems of trade and record-keeping. Each fragment, no matter how small, is a testament to the enduring complexities of human society, connecting us through time as we navigate the challenges of sustenance and commerce. What we have here is an intriguing fragment of ancient Greek text, likely a letter or decree. Although it is incomplete, it offers us fascinating insights into the past. The text appears to be a record of some sort, perhaps relating to a specific event or individual within a local community. Let's dive into the translation of the recognizable words and phrases. The fragment begins with Hakem Gri, which is somewhat cryptic, but could suggest an abbreviation or a shorthand notation common in administrative texts of the time. Following that, we see Felawiu, which could refer to a personal name or perhaps denote a familial lineage. It's often common in Greek texts to include the names of individuals, especially in official documents. The next part, uperlam ru ki, seems to suggest a position of prominence or perhaps a title. The word uper means over or above, indicating someone of high standing. Lam could be tied to brightness or honor, reinforcing the idea of distinction. This could imply that the subject of the letter was someone esteemed in the community, perhaps even a leader or an honored citizen. Continuing, we find fla uiu again, which reaffirms that this document pertains to the same person or family mentioned earlier. The phrase lam protatu ko em etos hints at a time frame, with protatu suggesting foremost or primary, and ko em etos potentially referring to a specific year or period. This could indicate that the text was documenting a significant event that took place in a specific year, further emphasizing the importance of the individual or family it concerns. Historically, this fragment likely comes from a period when local governance and community records were crucial for social organization. Such texts were commonplace in the Hellenistic period, during which city-states were prominent, and civic documentation was essential for maintaining administrative order. This was a time when individuals were often defined by their social standing and contributions to their communities. The existence of this document tells us much about everyday life in ancient Greece. It highlights the significance of personal identity and social hierarchy. Individuals were often recognized through their familial ties and public roles, and records like these helped maintain that social fabric. When we draw comparisons to modern customs, we see echoes of this practice in how we document our history and identity today. Just as ancient Greeks kept records of influential figures and events, we maintain our histories through official documents, birth certificates, and public records that help us navigate our social structures. The importance of honor, status, and the documentation of our lives remains a constant theme throughout human history. In summary, while this text fragment is incomplete and fragmented, it provides a window into the complexities of ancient Greek society, the significance of personal identity, and the enduring nature of documentation in shaping our understanding of the past. Through these remnants of history, we not only learn about the individuals involved, but also about the cultural practices that have resonated through time. As we delve into the remnants of ancient Greek civilization, we stumble upon a fascinating fragment of text that offers a glimpse into the daily lives and administrative practices of the time. This particular piece appears to be a document related to the distribution of grain, or perhaps a public decree concerning agricultural matters. The words we can decipher suggest an official context, possibly involving allocations for a community or a record of transactions. The opening phrase, dianomi hortu, translates to distribution of grain. This indicates that the text likely pertains to the management and distribution of a vital resource, grain, which was central to the diet and economy of ancient Greece. The subsequent section, uper pnomth, while somewhat fragmentary, hints at a possible reference to a person or place, perhaps the overseer or a locality involved in this distribution. Further down the fragment, we encounter the name Mucheos, which might point to an individual associated with this transaction, while the term xenomus could suggest either a geographical area or another person involved in the context. The mention of Thamuriseos and Mikres could imply specific details about the grain's origin or the recipients, indicating a well-organized system of record-keeping. The historical context of this fragment places us in a time when agriculture was the backbone of Greek society. During the classical period, particularly in the 5th to 4th centuries BCE, the management of crops and food supplies was critical, especially in city-states like Athens or Corinth, where population pressures and trade dynamics necessitated careful oversight. This text reflects the complexities of dealing with resources that were not just commodities, but essential to survival and daily life. From this fragment, we learn about the importance of grain distribution in maintaining social order and supporting the populace. Such administrative practices hint at a structured society where roles were delineated and responsibilities were recorded meticulously. The presence of officials or overseers in these texts indicates a bureaucratic system that, while different from today's practices, shares the commonality of needing to manage resources for the benefit of the community. In comparing these ancient practices to modern times, we see echoes of similar processes in today's food distribution systems, governmental regulations, and even local agricultural policies. The need for efficient distribution of food remains as relevant now as it was then, highlighting humanity's enduring relationship with agriculture and resource management. This fragment, although incomplete, serves as a window into the past, illuminating the significance of grain in ancient Greek life and the administrative efforts that sustained communities. It reminds us that the threads of history weave through our present, connecting us through shared needs and practices across the ages. This fragment of ancient Greek text offers a fascinating glimpse into the past, likely belonging to a personal letter or a document related to official business. Though incomplete, it is rich with names and references that allow us to piece together a narrative that reflects the social and cultural dynamics of its time. As we delve into the text, we encounter the name Phoivamonos, which suggests a connection to the deity Apollo, often associated with prophecy, music, and healing in ancient Greek culture. This invocation could imply that the document is seeking divine favor or acknowledging the influence of the gods in the matters discussed. The mention of Athanasios, a name that typically denotes a person of significance, indicates that this letter may have been addressed to or written by someone of status in society. We also see references to various individuals, such as Iov and Magdolon, which might suggest a family or community context. The word oikos, meaning household, implies that this text could involve personal matters, perhaps relating to family affairs or inheritance, highlighting the importance of familial ties in ancient Greek life. The presence of names like Makarios and Senuthios hints at a network of relationships, possibly involving business dealings or communal obligations. The term ecclesia, which translates to assembly or church, indicates the involvement of a local governing body or religious group, suggesting that the matters discussed were of communal significance, reflecting the collective responsibilities that ancient Greeks held. These fragments tell us much about the everyday life of ancient Greeks, who often navigated complex social networks, balancing personal, familial, and civic duties. The interplay of religious and civic elements in their documents shows how intertwined these aspects were in their daily lives, a theme that resonates even today, as we still witness the blending of personal and communal responsibilities in our own societies. As we compare this to modern practices, we see parallels in how we document important decisions, relationships, and community engagements. Today's emails and texts serve similar purposes, allowing us to maintain connections and navigate our personal and professional lives just as the ancients did, albeit through different mediums. In conclusion, while this fragment remains incomplete, it serves as a window into the rich tapestry of ancient Greek society, revealing not just the names and titles, but the values and interactions that shaped their everyday existence. Through this lens, we gain insight into the continuity of human connection and the enduring nature of community across the ages.